looks like there was something going on there. But anyway, this is Ryan Nickel, and welcome to another episode of the Day in the Life of Bootstrap Real Estate Investor. So the other day, I went and saw a property. This is a property in a low-income rent district, and they're for sale by owners. So I called them up and said, "Hey, I'm interested in your house, and is it still available?" And they said it was. So then I went and I saw it. And they had bought it 2 years ago for $145 and are selling it now for $190. Let me go ahead and show you what it looks like. So you can see here, they're looking to sell this thing for $190,000. And I was talking to another investor yesterday. I do some coaching and mentoring as well, and and I get this question a lot. It's how do I find opportunities to do lease options and seller finance transactions? And I told him, I said, look, these opportunities aren't found; they're created, and you can't be creative in real estate until you know the problem. So without the problem, there's no creative solution. So you definitely have to know the problem, because he was just going out there and offering people seller financing or lease options, and they're shutting them down left and right. And I made that mistake too. I was like, look, man, you just can't do that. You have to understand what their problem is that you're trying to solve, and then try to solve that problem with real estate. Take the problem from them. So this example here, this dude bought this house for $145,000, owes $143 on it after 2 years. And he's trying to sell it for $190. And I said, well, what are you trying to do? And he's like, well, I'm trying some more land. I want some more land, and I've identified a property. However, I cannot go into escrow. There's no contingencies. They will not accept my offer if it's a contingent upon the sale of my house. They want me to be in escrow first before I submit my offer to them. And I said, great, what happens if you don't sell? He's like, well, I'll end up renting this house. I'm like, well, if you're renting it, because he's a veteran, and he wants, as a vet, he wants to take his money and to go and get another VA loan on this home. I said, well, as a vet, you can have two VAs. You can have two loans out at the same time. He says, yeah, but I have to have money down. I said, yeah, that's true, you do. How much would you have to have down? He says 10%. I said, well, how much do you have right now? He's like, well, this home is a $270,000 home. I only have $15,000. I need another 15. I'm like, oh, okay. So are you able to do that? He's like, no, I don't think I'm realistically able to come up with that kind of money. I said, well, what about FHA? He's like, well, FHA I can do. I would need $20,000 and I can do an FHA. I said, oh, so you're only $5,000 away. I said, what if I took over the property here, whether I bought it myself or I did a lease option or I did something where I could put $5,000 into your pocket and I can take over the expenses of this property so you don't have to worry about it. Would that work for you? All of a sudden, he's like, you know what? That actually could work, because then we can get into the property. I can do it this way. He's living with his girlfriend. His girlfriend's they're not married, and in order to account her income, the VA will not allow her to be on the loan unless they're married. I didn't know that. But so she can't count her income, but FHA, they can go both together. So, you know what? Let's look at this here. And so I'm just looking at my numbers here. That they're asking $190 for the house, and this is how I do it. I go to Zillow. I just do it down and dirty. I don't need it to be really accurate here. And I go, okay, I'm looking at the homes in the area, 164, 145, 171, 153, 163, 165. So I'm like, okay, ballpark. This house has a pool, 160. So I'm thinking that on average it's probably 165. This one, because it has a pool, maybe 170. Went out there, saw the house. There's some deferred maintenance on it, but overall the house is in pretty good shape. So I went over to rentometer, or rentometer, however you want to say it. Looked at the average rent, and it's $1,100. However, if you look at, there's a main highway here, and all of these properties are on this side of the highway. His property is right here. So I'm looking at these properties, and it's going for $1,000. And then this one, if I can get it to pull up, which it won't work, is this one's going for, I think, $900. Yeah, $900. So I'm thinking right in the middle. This property is probably, realistically, has a pool, so maybe $1,100. So I've written him a letter of intent. Basically, it says, hey, thanks for letting me take a look at your house. I've done some due diligence on this side of the highway. 3-bedroom homes are renting for $1,000 a month and selling for $165,000. I'm willing to purchase your home with these options. And basically, it's me taking over his current mortgage payment of $144,000. Or I'm doing a sandwich lease option. I'll give him, $2,000 down, and $900 a month. or I'll just assign it to him. I'll just take the assignment fee and sell it for $179,000. I'm getting an assignment fee. I'll take the difference here. So looking at how can I solve their problem, and actually after reviewing this a little bit more, it doesn't really solve the problem because he needs $5,000. So I'm gonna go back and look at my numbers, and instead of doing the lease option assignment, I'm just going to do seller financing and put it down as a $5,000 in his pocket as a down payment. I'm very confident in his particular market where he's at, that with a swimming pool and it's in its current condition, yeah, there is a little bit of deferred maintenance, that I can get the purchase price up and get a little bit more money monthly because of I think it's probably, if I remember right, after driving the neighborhood, I think from the external point of view, you can't really tell, but with all of the features, with again the swimming pool and things like that, it definitely is one of the nicer homes in that neighborhood, which would allow for me to get a little bit more money. It isn't, like I said, a little bit of a lower rent area, lower rent district. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. But I understand what the problem is. The problem is he's really desperate to find a buyer so that they can move into this house, because if that other house sells, then he's stuck. He wants that home because it has some acreage. It only has I think an acre and a half. But for him, he has some dogs and he really wants to get them some opportunity to roam. So anyway, that's his problem. This is the letter. Will it work? I don't know. You never know. But I do know what his challenge is and what he's looking to do, and I can close quickly and get him his cash. So again, I need to go back and redo just a little bit more so I can give him what he's looking for. That's that. But again, in order to be creative, you need to know what the problem is. Until you know the problem, you can't be creative and come up with solutions to help them.